The egg hadn't reappeared, but Eqqo still felt its presence. Where had it gone to? One of these columns was trying to look more solid than it actually was. Mechanisms woke up after a very long sleep. The egg was there, safe and sound. It could have broken so easily. The fate of Eqqo, the egg, and the temple was sealed. When placing the egg, Eqqo realized that a legend carried a significant weight. Since the disappearance of the star, something else was guiding Eqqo, pushing him forward. Was it the egg itself? Was it conscious? What a weird pilgrim, thought Talek the Stonehead. Where are his eyes? It was better, sometimes, to be shaped like a blade of grass than an egg. You're pretty heavy, thought Eqqo. And the egg answered, that's not very nice. Eqqo was stunned. You're talking. Of course I'm not, I'm an egg. But I am. Eqqo realized that thanks to the egg, he wasn't alone. And despite its weight in his arms, that made him feel lighter. A thousand echoes resounded in the boy's ears. The temple is immense, he thought. And we need to get to the end of it, added the egg. Something important had just opened, but Eqqo couldn't reach it. These hunting weapons were actually war weapons. These things, they seemed to live here, taking advantage of the temple's abandoned state. Something was moving down below. It sounded like a nest. A nest of small, dirty things. Another trap. The lever to open it had to be somewhere here. These things came from the nest. They flew away from Eqqo like shadows in front of the sun, so he named them Shadows. The egg was again going to have to stay behind the grating, and the shadows knew it. A new chain appeared, but the shadows were coming for the Enkalal. "Could someone please throw something at them?" asked the egg. The shadows were attracted by the egg. Maybe, were they hungry? "They were the monks of the temple," said the egg. "They praised the light of Isa." The trackers who had killed the serpent god, were they still here, raiding the temple? That symbol on the ground. Eqqo had already passed one like it, outside, in the sacred lands. In the fresco, villagers were looking fearfully at a dark figure dominating them. "A dark god," said the Enkalal. The egg told Eqqo, "These frescoes tell of the coming of a leader whose voice was as strong as 100 bells. This was the beginning of your valley's decline." Eqqo recognized the sound of the shadow's steps. "Don't let them take me," said the Enkalal. "It would be the end of everything." These frescoes show the dark god's feast, said the Enkalal. His appetite is infinite. He can devour the world. These frescoes show the death of my brothers, said the Enkalal. This has happened before. It will happen again. Be very careful, I prayed at that moment, far from there, sensing the shadows gathering around my child. I felt a bit lonely with these shadows around, said the egg when Eqqo came back to pick it up. So thank you for coming back. There's nobody here? Asked Eqqo. The monks abandoned the temple after a great misfortune, replied the egg. Then the valley's inhabitants forgot it ever existed. The Amlak Ebab, my father, sadly thought the Enkalal. His golden seal will show us the way. A door had just opened on a now familiar stone face. Another set of stairs presented itself to the pilgrim. Far above Eqqo, a flagstone had just slid open. You speak well for an egg, suddenly realized Eqqo. Aren't you supposed to be a baby? It's because I'm filled with wisdom, said the egg, adding, "You're the baby." Eqqo was climbing up. This made a lot of steps, and a great void below his feet. Inspired by the Enkalal, my son was moving forward, carrying in his arms the future of the world, walking away from childhood. Far from there, his mother was wiping her tears. "These stairs show the way of Kaf," said the Enkalal. "The thread leads the pilgrim to the sky, but it's a thread scattered with knots. Here's one ahead." This fresco, it seemed to announce something terrible, and yet the order of the skulls seemed to have a meaning. The three wheels represented cycles. The pilgrim had to align them in the right order to pass. I was confused. The lock was tangling the thread of my story. The knot in the thread came undone. I watched my son resume his story. I remembered. Eqqo's birth had changed my vision of the world. He incarnated the kindness of the stars. He inspired me. Here was the prison. The monks had dedicated their lives to protecting the temple. To punish those who threatened it was part of their mission. "Who does that breath belong to?" asked Eqqo. "To a sleeper who must remain asleep," replied the egg. That I told you to always be careful. The man was trying to grasp the envelope as if he had just dreamt of it. He was about to seize it. I had to act quickly. Here was the prison. The monks had dedicated their lives to protecting the temple. To punish those who threatened it was part of their mission. "Who does that breath belong to?" asked Eqqo. "To a sleeper who must remain asleep," replied the egg. Oh, Eqqo, how many times had I told you to always be careful? As if he had just dreamt of it. He was about to seize it. I had to act quickly. Here was the prison. The monks had dedicated their lives to protecting the temple. To punish those who threatened it was part of their mission. "Who does that breath belong to?" asked Eqqo. "To a sleeper who must remain asleep," replied the egg. Oh, Eqqo, how many times had I told you to always be careful? to act quickly. Here was the prison. The monks had dedicated their lives to protecting the temple. To punish those who threatened it was part of their mission. Who does that breath belong to? Asked Eqqo. To a sleeper who must remain asleep, replied the egg. Oh, Eqqo, how many times had I told you to always be careful? The man was trying to grasp the Eqqo as if he had just dreamt of it. He was about to seize it. I had to act quickly. Here was the prison. The monks had dedicated their lives to protecting the temple. To punish those who threatened it was part of their mission. Who does that breath belong to? Asked Eqqo. To a sleeper who must remain asleep, replied the egg. That I told you to always be careful. The man was trying to grasp the Eqqo as if he had just dreamt of it. He was about to seize it. I had to act quickly. This unexpected consequence had just saved the Eqqo. The Eqqo said to the child, "We need to go quickly. The bell ringer is going to wake up, and he is here for me. He's the one who killed my father, the serpent god.